Donald Trump emerged from playing golf, it would seem, to give a totally unhinged performance at a rally in Florida last night.
I'm also officially challenging Crooked Joe to an 18-hole golf match right here. We don't eat bacon anymore, right? No more. Did anyone ever see the lovely movie Silence of the Lambs? Did you see it? Did you ever hear of Hannibal Lecter? He was a lovely man. He would love to have you for dinner. I didn't even know what the hell NATO was too much before, but it didn't take me long to figure it out, like about 2 minutes. Yes, oh yes, and quickly, says President Trump. Yes, oh yes.
Ooh, and yet, even after that particularly incoherent speech, no Republicans are calling it disturbing or problematic or disqualifying for their presumptive presidential nominee. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party meltdown over President Biden continues apace.
I just think this race is on a trajectory that is very worrisome. I think that we could lose the whole thing.
Right now, we're on a path to losing. And when your strategy isn't working, you can't just double down on the strategy.
It's gotten so bad that James Carville, the Democratic strategist largely credited with "It's the economy, stupid" in Bill Clinton's successful 1992 campaign, is now proposing in an op-ed that not millions, but literally 2 Democrats should choose a new nominee, writing that with less than 120 days to go before the election, Democrats should throw some cool town halls, forget all those delegates and the 16 million primary voters, and just recruit former presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton to select Biden's replacement. You know, kind of like Simon Cowell and Randy Jackson on American Idol back in the day. What's up, dog? No Paula? Joining me now is Alencia Johnson, senior advisor for the 2020 Biden-Harris campaign, and Rick Wilson, co-founder of the Lincoln Project and host of the Enemies List podcast. Alencia, now we're in silly season. I don't think people understand that there are actually rules in the Democratic Party, and that the way you choose the election is that is not that way. You just don't throw like a American Idol contest and then have 2 people pick. But let me just go ahead and play what more James Carville had to say. Here's James Carville. I would think he would know this.
I'm just telling you, it's inevitable. He will come to the conclusion. People will get the message to him. He will understand. His family will understand. They'll pray on it and they'll make the right decision. I'm just trying to stimulate what we're doing right now, to have a conversation about the future.
Is this, in your view, Alencia, the smartest way to have a conversation and stimulate a conversation about the future?
Listen, I think we have a lot that Democrats need to be talking about right now, the existential crisis on the other side, which you led into the segment with. And I also think it's frustrating for voters to feel as though their concerns haven't been heard. And a lot of the ways in which we're having this infighting publicly is making both sides dig their heels in and double down. And we look just as crazy as the other side, quite frankly. And it's disengaging voters who, quite frankly, one thing that we're not talking about, young voters, black voters, a lot of voters who already had concerns showing up in the polls in 2024. And so I think Democrats, the elites, the ones that are on cable news talking all the time, actually need to think about the issues and think about what it is that voters want and have an open conversation with them about their frustrations. A lot of their frustrations were before the debates. I think those just exacerbated them. But how do we have both of those conversations at the same time and stop berating one another and then becoming a reality show like the other side?
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Let me play Chuck Schumer. Here's Chuck Schumer's new quotes from today. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read it. I apologize. My bad. I'm going to read it. Chuck Schumer is privately signaling to donors that he's open to a Democratic presidential ticket that isn't led by President Biden. Schumer's been listening to donors' ideas, and suggestions about the best way forward for the party, according to 3 people familiar with what the Senate leader has said. Hakeem Jeffries, who is the upcoming leader in the House, the minority leader. Here's what he said. We're having conversations with ourselves. It's a family discussion. That's important. We're a separate and co-equal branch of government. We have the right and the responsibility on behalf of the people we represent to have their conversations with ourselves on the best forward, what's interesting in the American people. And that's all we're doing right now, which is a change from what he had said before. Rick Wilson, we got George Clooney saying Biden's got to go. And then, he's like, he wasn't as up to speed as he used to be. And I know that there were some issues Amal Clooney had on her Gaza stuff that's happening. You got Hollywood moguls of all kinds jumping in and saying things. Op-ed writers have fun ideas. What strikes me about this that is weird is that when Richard Nixon who was a crook, was driven out of the party in the 1970s. He was given more dignity by his party. Barry Goldwater went to him. It came out afterwards that he had gone to him privately and said, we want to spare you the indignity of an impeachment. You need to step down before that happens. A deal was cut in advance for him to be pardoned by Gerald Ford. He was given more dignity than Democrats are giving their own sitting president, who's done nothing much for them except give them like a giant infrastructure bill, paid off a bunch of people's student loans, which is life-changing for people, giving them $35 insulin to run on. So it's not like he's not giving them anything to run on, and he's not the one benefiting from that. That's supposed to benefit them. But all they needed was the Cook Political Report to come out and redo their rankings for all these districts, and they're like, destroy him publicly. I mean, if they want him to go, isn't there a more dignified way for Democrats to maybe behave than to publicly humiliate him?
Joy, this is an example of the difference in the two parties that, as a former Republican, I can tell you, if Donald Trump tomorrow said, I'm a cannibal, I love to eat live babies, I barbecue them at Mar-a-Lago every day, every single Republican would go, well, yes, it's the new fashionable meat. This is what we should all be doing. They would get in lockstep. Here's why they have a political powerhouse in that unity and that loyalty, is they understand that this is a race that matters. If Democrats think right now they're going to have some Baroque, bizarro world, candidate switch, flip-flop, they're overlooking two things. Joe Biden had 14 million Democratic voters come out and vote for him in the primary this year. He has all the delegates at the convention. It's not my job to tell Joe Biden what to do. It's my job, and it should be everyone's job in the Democratic Party right now, to turn their fire on the one person who will destroy them and the country, Donald Trump. Every single day I wake up and go, what is the best and highest use of my time? And my time is best used taking an iron pipe to Donald Trump's kneecaps. It is best for everyone to remember that if you play this game out past the convention, you will have given Donald Trump a 2-month vacation where he works on his golf game as Democrats sit in the circular firing squad. This has got to stop. The unity, look, and at the end of the day, whether the candidate is Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or some guy from behind the bus station, we're running against a guy who will destroy this country by implementing his Project 2025 blueprint. And no matter how much Donald Trump says he didn't do Project 2025, it's got his revolting DNA all over it. This is a guy who, if we don't focus on the fact that this is a race against Donald Trump, a referendum in this country against Donald Trump, we're going to end up with 4 more years of Donald Trump.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.